Sir, what are you doing out in this neighborhood? Let me see some ID.
Is there a reason for the stop, officer?
We've had a lot of impersonation cases lately. You match a description. Let me see it.
All right. I'm an active duty Marine officer. Here's my ID.
Yeah, sure. Come on down here for me. This ID doesn't match.
The body cam timestamp reads 3:09 in the afternoon. A man in a full Marine dress uniform is standing at a gas pump. He is calm. He has done nothing wrong. He will be on the ground in 4 minutes. Remember that number, 4 minutes, because everything that follows, the lawsuit, the termination, the $9 million settlement, traces back to 4 minutes at a gas station on an ordinary afternoon that nobody saw coming. The scene is completely unremarkable. Bright sun, a quiet pump, a man who stopped for gas on his way somewhere that mattered enough to wear his dress uniform. The kind of uniform you don't put on casually, the kind that takes time, care, and a career's worth of earning. Every medal in its place, every button fastened, the entire weight of his service visible on his chest. Then the officer pulls in. He doesn't park at a pump. He parks directly behind the vehicle, blocking it, and approaches with the unhurried confidence of someone who has already decided this interaction is necessary before a single word has been spoken. "Sir, I'm going to need to see some identification." No preamble, no explanation, no observable reason offered for why a man standing quietly at a gas pump needs to prove who he is. The Marine doesn't flinch, doesn't ask why. He reaches slowly, the way people trained in high-stakes environments learn to move, deliberately, without ambiguity, and places his military identification directly into the officer's hand. Full name, rank, branch of service. 2 decades of it, right there between the officer's fingers. The officer looks at the ID, then looks at the man, then looks back at the ID. 4 seconds of silence. And in those 4 seconds, with valid credentials in his hand, a decorated uniform in front of him, and zero evidence of any wrongdoing, the officer makes a decision that will eventually cost his department $9 million. He decides it doesn't add up. No radio call, no dispatch verification, no attempt to confirm what the ID clearly states, just a conclusion, arrived at in 4 silent seconds, that this man, this uniform, these medals, this military identification are somehow not what they appear to be. "I'm going to need you to come with me to the station." The Marine's response is steady, controlled, the voice of someone who has spent a career de-escalating situations far more dangerous than a gas station conversation. "You can run it through dispatch. It will come back valid." 1 sentence. A reasonable offer, the correct procedure handed to the officer on a plate. The officer doesn't take it. And what happens in the next 3 minutes, on camera, in broad daylight, to a man who has done everything right, will force an entire department to answer for what it allowed to happen at 3:09 on an ordinary afternoon. Before we continue, hit that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling us where in the world you're watching from. Now, back to what happened. He is still standing at that pump, still calm, still in uniform, still the most composed person in this interaction by a significant margin. And that composure, that disciplined, deliberate, almost frustrating calm, is about to be used against him. The Marine has done something most people wouldn't think to do in that moment. He hasn't argued. He hasn't raised his voice. He has offered the officer a direct path to resolution. 1 radio call, 30 seconds, a verification that would have confirmed everything and ended this interaction before it became anything worth documenting. The officer ignores it. Instead, same instruction, same tone, same absence of any explanation for why a 30-second radio call is insufficient. "You're coming down to the station." No probable cause stated, no crime identified, no behavior observed that justifies anything beyond the conversation already happening. Just a command, repeated with the particular certainty of someone who has decided that compliance is the only acceptable outcome and justification is no longer the point. The Marine doesn't raise his voice, doesn't move aggressively, doesn't give the officer a single frame of footage that could later be used to reframe what is about to happen. On what grounds? I've shown you my identification. You can verify it right now. Precise, factual, legally sound. The kind of response that, in a just and procedurally correct interaction, should prompt a pause, a reconsideration, at minimum, a radio call. The officer doesn't pause. He moves. Not toward his radio, not toward his vehicle to run the check that would have taken less time than this conversation has already consumed. He moves toward the Marine, and what the body cam captures in the next 19 seconds is the moment this incident stops being a misunderstanding and becomes something that attorneys will spend months reconstructing frame by frame. The Marine is grabbed without warning, taken off balance, brought to the ground. Dress uniform, service medals, rank insignia, all of it pressed against gas station concrete while the body cam records every second from the officer's chest. The official report will later state that the Marine resisted arrest. Watch the footage. His hands are visible throughout. His movements are controlled throughout. The sequence captured on camera, grab, off balance, ground, happens before any resistance occurs, before any resistance is possible. The report describes a confrontation the footage doesn't show, and that gap between what was written and what was recorded becomes the first crack in a case that was never going to hold. But it is not the crack that destroys everything. That comes from 4 words, spoken clearly, caught completely, time-stamped and preserved on the same body cam the officer was required to wear precisely so that moments like this one could be reviewed with accuracy. People like you always cause trouble. Said to a decorated Marine lying on gas station concrete, having done nothing except present valid identification and suggest the procedure that would have prevented all of this. People like you. 4 words that have nothing to do with what the Marine did. 4 words that have everything to do with what the officer saw, before the ID, before the conversation, before any fact had been confirmed, the moment he pulled into that gas station and parked behind the vehicle, instead of at the pump. The handcuffs close. The body cam keeps recording, and the interaction that began as an identity check has become something entirely else, something that a department will spend years and $9 million trying to contain.
The arrest takes 4 minutes. Dismantling it takes considerably longer. But what the review uncovers, layer by layer, log by log, timestamp by timestamp, is not a complicated picture. It is a simple one. And simple pictures, when they contradict official accounts, are the most dangerous kind. The first thing investigators pull is the dispatch log. Standard procedure in any identity-based stop is a radio verification call. It takes under 60 seconds. It is not discretionary. It is the foundational step that transforms a visual assessment, which can be wrong, into a confirmed fact, which can be documented. Every officer knows this. Every department mandates it. The entire purpose of the procedure is to prevent exactly what happened at 3:09 at that gas station. The dispatch log shows no call was made, not before the confrontation, not during, not after. In the entire duration of the interaction, from the moment the officer approached the vehicle to the moment the handcuffs closed, he never once reached for his radio to verify the ID he claimed was suspicious. Never made the call, never sought the confirmation. Never followed the procedure that existed specifically to protect both parties in exactly this kind of situation. Which leaves one question sitting in that review room without a clean answer. If the ID was genuinely in question, why wasn't it checked? The body cam footage goes next, and this is where the official report encounters a problem it cannot recover from. Because the sequence of events described in writing does not match the sequence of events visible on camera. The report states resistance. The camera shows compliance. The report implies a struggle. The camera shows a man taken to the ground before he has the opportunity to respond to anything. In a review room where both are playing simultaneously, the gap between them is not subtle, it is structural. And a structural gap between a written report and body cam footage is not an administrative error. It is the kind of discrepancy that ends careers. But the 4 words are what end the department's ability to frame this as an isolated mistake. People like you always cause trouble. Supervisors flag it within the first viewing. It gets isolated, time-stamped, placed in the context of everything that preceded it. No verification, immediate escalation, use of force against a compliant subject, a written report that doesn't match the recording. And those 4 words stop being a regrettable moment in a tense situation. They become the explanation for the tense situation. They answer the question nobody in that review room wanted to ask out loud. Not what went wrong procedurally, but why none of the procedures were followed in the first place. Why the radio call never happened. Why the exit ramp was never taken. Why a man in a decorated military uniform holding valid identification ended up on the ground at a gas station on a Tuesday afternoon. The investigation widens. Prior stops are pulled, prior reports examined. A pattern begins to surface, not dramatically, not all at once, but in the methodical way that patterns always surface when someone finally looks for them specifically. Escalations that arrived before justification, verifications that were skipped, use of force applied to subjects described one way on camera and another way on paper. The pattern was always there, it just never had 4 words on bodycam to confirm it. And as the last frame of footage was reviewed, the justification for the arrest was no longer standing. Neither was the officer's version of events.
The charges are dropped in 48 hours. Not after weeks of legal maneuvering, not buried quietly in a process designed to outlast public attention. 48 hours. Because the moment that bodycam footage reached anyone with the authority to make a decision, the decision required no deliberation. There was nothing to prosecute. A valid ID that was never verified, a resistance claim the footage doesn't support, a probable cause statement built entirely on a 4-second assumption made before a single fact was confirmed. The written case against the Marine doesn't survive its first encounter with the recording, and the recording is the department's own. He walks out. But walking out is not the same thing as being made whole. A dropped charge is the floor of accountability, not the ceiling. And the question of what happens to the officer who filed a report the footage contradicts, who made an arrest the evidence doesn't support, who said 4 words on camera that a review board flagged before the paperwork was processed, that question has a separate answer. It arrives in the form of a lawsuit. Filed against the officer, filed against the department, filed against the city that employed both, with the particular confidence of a legal team that has already watched the bodycam footage and understands that the foundation of this case was poured before anyone entered a courtroom. Wrongful arrest, excessive force, emotional distress, racial profiling. 4 claims. Every single one of them time-stamped on the department's own recording equipment. The city's attorneys review the footage, then review it again. And in that second viewing, in the silent calculation that happens when legal exposure meets the reality of what a jury would watch in open court, a number takes shape that tells you everything about how the city assessed its own position. $9 million. Not a negotiated compromise between 2 sides who each believed they had a case. $9 million is what a city pays when it has watched the footage, consulted its attorneys, and concluded that the cost of a trial, the cost of playing that bodycam recording in a courtroom, of putting those 4 words in front of a jury, of explaining why the dispatch log shows no verification call, that cost exceeds any number a settlement might reach. $9 million is not compensation. It is a calculation. The officer is terminated. Not placed on administrative leave while the process runs its course, not quietly transferred to a different precinct where the prior complaints wouldn't follow him. Terminated. After a review that examined the bodycam footage, the dispatch logs, the written report, the gap between all 3, and a prior complaint history that the investigation had now been specifically instructed to look for. He is gone. But here is the thing about $9 million and a termination that nobody says out loud in the press release. They don't give back the afternoon. They don't remove the specific weight of what it means to have given this country decades of your life, to have earned every medal on that uniform through deployments and sacrifice, and years spent in service to something larger than yourself, and then stand at a gas pump on a Tuesday afternoon and have all of it examined, doubted, and dismissed in 4 seconds by someone who never once reached for his radio to confirm what your credentials clearly stated. They don't reach the sleepless nights, the conversations you have to have with people who love you about what happened and why and whether it will happen again, the particular exhaustion of being a man who has defended this country and then having to defend your own identity at a gas station while wearing the proof of it on your chest. $9 million doesn't touch any of that. What it does, what it accomplishes on the record, permanently, in language that cannot be walked back or reframed, is confirm that the institution knew, that the review found what it found, that the gap between the report and the footage was real and significant and could not be attributed to a misunderstanding or a moment of poor judgment in a high-pressure situation. A man was stopped without cause, arrested without verification, taken to the ground without justification, and described on camera in language that revealed the true nature of the stop in a way that no official report was ever going to document honestly. The settlement was not compensation. It was a confession, written in 9 figures and signed by a city that had watched its own footage and understood exactly what it showed. Because in the end, this was never about a uniform. It was never about an ID that needed 30 seconds to verify. It was never about a gas station or a Tuesday afternoon or 2 people with competing accounts of what happened at a pump. It was about what happens when assumption travels faster than procedure, when 4 seconds of a decision made without facts produces 4 minutes of footage that a city spends $9 million trying to move past. A decorated Marine presented valid identification when asked. That should have been the entire story. On an ordinary afternoon at a gas station, it wasn't. And the distance between what should have happened and what actually did, that distance cost a city millions and cost a man something no settlement has ever been large enough to repay. If this story stayed with you, if it made you sit with something uncomfortable long after it ended, then you already understand why this work matters. These stories don't tell themselves. Someone has to find them, build them, and present them with the precision they deserve. That's what this channel does. If that's worth something to you, hit that like button and subscribe. Every subscriber means the next story reaches someone who needs to hear it. We'll see you on the next one.